My next guest is a renowned criminal defense and civil rights attorney who spent more than 40 years fighting abuses of power and corruption, within our criminal legal system. And now he's speaking truth to power by sharing those firsthand experiences with the world. David Rudolf has written a brilliant book aptly titled American Injustice. It tells the stories of real people who've lived through life-altering abuses of power at the hands of our legal system. I'm honored to have him on tonight. David Rudolf, pleasure to have you join us. Thank you for being here tonight. You begin your book with this dedication, a quote, "All who have lost their lives, their freedom, or their hope because of the abuse of power." What motivated you to write this book now?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to be on. And what motivated me was what I had observed over the years in seeing how normal, everyday people were sort of crushed by the system at various points in time. The book is not in any way a sort of an I'm a great lawyer book. It's about how everyday people have suffered at the hands of the abuse of power by police, prosecutors, and judges, and for that matter, even defense attorneys who abuse their power. So I just thought it was important for everybody to understand how the system fails and what the consequences are when it does fail.
You've had a long, distinguished career. You tell many stories in the book. What story surprised even you?
Wow. Lots of the stories surprised me at the time they were happening. But maybe the most dramatic scene for me was after the execution of John Rook, which was a very, very emotional time for me. Leaving the prison that night, watching his hearse, pull out and watching a bunch of people celebrating his death, not having any idea who he was or what he had endured growing up, and just watching those folks sort of reveling in the death of another human being was really sort of shocking to me. I had trouble sleeping that night, but not because I had represented John Rook. It was because I had seen that scene outside of the prison.
What is it about the psychology of society that wants people to see a prosecution happen no matter what?
Well, I'm not sure it's the psychology of society. I think, what happens in these cases is that the police sort of decide on a particular suspect. There's a little bit of arrogance involved in that. They believe that they know what happened. And then confirmation bias kicks in. And we all suffer from that. And as a result of that, what they do is they ignore the evidence that's inconsistent with their own theory, and they focus in on the evidence that's consistent with their theory. And in my judgment, that's the primary cause of wrongful convictions. It's not police corruption. When I talk about an abuse of power, I'm really not talking about corruption. I'm talking about people abusing the power that they have in order to do what they may think is right, but which it turns out puts an innocent person in prison for decades.
Which brings me to this section of your book. In part 4 of your book, you write about the most powerful person in the system. And here's what you say. Prosecutors, of all the players in the American criminal justice system, including judges and juries, exercise the greatest level of control over the lives and destinies of the ordinary individuals with whom they interact in the system. Prosecutors wield extraordinary power, including the ability to initiate and direct investigations of individuals, bring or withhold criminal charges, and control the resolution of any charges they do bring. We cover a lot of wrongful conviction cases as part of our weekly Innocence Project series on this network. And it never fails that prosecutorial misconduct is behind an innocent person going to prison. So why doesn't that system of checks and balances exist for prosecutors?
Well, the answer is really simple. It doesn't exist because the Supreme Court has decided that prosecutors have absolute immunity. So no matter what they do as prosecutors, as long as it's within their prosecutorial function, then no one can sue them for the decisions they make. And if no one can sue them for the decisions they make, then there's no check on their power. No one can question them because you can't obtain any sort of relief. And that's a real problem, and it's created, not by any statute, but by the United States Supreme Court, who decided at some point back 30 or 40 years ago that we needed to protect prosecutors so that they could, in essence, exercise their power without fear. And if you exercise power without fear, what you're going to end up with is the exercise of power that abuses people's rights.
It's the same theory that has people stuck over immunity for police, but there's efforts underway for police reform, also for prosecutorial reform. So after you've written this book and all you've experienced, what are your recommendations about prosecutorial reform?
Well, in terms of prosecutorial reform, I think obviously getting rid of absolute immunity is essential. It's unnecessary. Good faith immunity, which is what police have, ought to be enough. As long as they could show they acted in good faith, they should have nothing to worry about. And so I think that's a first step. I think also prosecutors need to be trained a little bit differently. We all suffer from confirmation bias. And doctors, when they go to medical school, they're taught that they have to go through a differential diagnosis. They have to rule out the alternative causes of an illness before they diagnose what the actual cause is. Prosecutors don't go through any sort of similar process. They're presented with a case by the police, and they assume that the police have done what they should do, despite evidence to the contrary that they should be aware of. And they just proceed, and there is no real check on the police by prosecutors. And that's a fundamental flaw in the system. And so prosecutors need to be trained, sensitized, if you will, to the fact that they are prisoners of confirmation bias. We all are. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just a reality of our lives. And they need to be trained to guard against that and to, in fact, rule out other suspects before they proceed against the one that is presented by the police.